Has life broken your mirror? Here is how to rebuild after pain. First off, I want to say welcome to 2026. It's been a while since I've been on here. Life has happened. Life has broken my mirror more than a few times over the last couple of years. And I've had to take a break from long form videos, blogging, podcasting, etc. But I am back. And today I want to talk about what happens when life breaks your mirror and how to rebuild your self-image after you've had some sort of painful experience. Now, the thing to realize is that when life happens to us, it's not just our heart that breaks, our self-image does too. Every painful image has the power to distort how we see ourselves. And, you can actually recognize when that is happening and start to rebuild from scratch. So maybe it could be a business failure, which happened to me. Betrayal also happened to me. Loss of a job, bad decisions you made, maybe loss of friendship. And these things can actually shake the foundation of who you believe you are. You move through life with sort of masks. You smile, you go to work, you're putting on your game face, but deep inside something is wrong, something is broken. And until you address that, you will continue to you may continue to feel low levels of depression, anxiety. You may begin to not put yourself out there for opportunities and generally sort of start to shrink back from life. Now, psychologists have held that trauma doesn't just live in memory. It lives in meaning and it changes the meaning of the way we see ourselves. So, for example, you failed once and it can become, I am a failure. Um, if you were abused, I was hurt, can become, I am not worthy. If you happen to have lost someone along the way, either through death, betrayal, or maybe like loss of a friendship, a divorce, I lost someone can become, I'm alone. Guilt, shame, right? I made a mistake can become I am a mistake. And every single blow to every single trauma like this can create a blow to your self-image and cause little fractures in your identity. When left unattended, those cracks harden into shame, self-doubt, and or emotional numbness. And like I said before, then as life goes on, even though you're putting your game face on, deep inside, you're shrinking back from who you could be and opportunities that you could take. And why does the mind do this? And honestly, the fact is that we know from neuroscience is that your mind is always trying to keep you safe, right? And sometimes it's easier to believe that something is your fault rather than the fact that, life is unpredictable. And the self blame can, in a warped way, give you a sense of control. However, this leads to the slow and steady loss of your self esteem. Now, how do you heal, right? Because okay, we've addressed the problem, but how do you get better from it? And a lot of times well-meaning friends and family might tell you things like get over it. But that's not easy. If everyone could get over things, we wouldn't have the plethora of therapists, coaches, doctors, and even lawyers that we have today, right? Getting over it is not that easy. You have to rebuild the mirror through which you see yourself. And that means creating new intentional inner messages to replace those distorted messages like I'm alone, I'm unworthy, etc., etc. And it leads to eventually nurturing a kinder relationship with yourself. So the first thing you want to do is separate the event from your identity. Okay, I don't care how many people you lost, none of this is your fault. Okay, and even if it was your fault, These are events, they don't mean who you are. Okay? You may need to remind yourself, this happened to me, but it's not who I am. Okay? Write down little note cards and put them in places where you can see them. This happened to me, but this is not who I am. Now, what that does, that simple sentence helps you to create a powerful psychological boundary between your circumstances and your character. Your circumstances do not define who you are. And when you're able to separate what happens to you from your very self, you start to reclaim authorship over your identity. And I talk a lot about identity. You can watch my other videos or listen to my other podcasts where I talk about an empowered identity. Anyway, so now you begin to understand that many mistakes, trauma, losses, etc., are just chapters in your story. They are not the whole book, and they do not define who you are. Healing starts when you stop defining yourself by the worst thing that ever happened to you, because you are not the sum total of your worst mistakes or your traumas. Now, that's number one. So separate the event from your identity. Number two, reframe the story. Reframe the story. Now, you ask yourself this question: what did this teach me? And wait for the answer. Now, reframing does not mean you romanticize your pain. Reframing does not mean you don't feel the pain. Reframing does not mean that you don't feel the emotions, the anger, the grief, the hurt, etc. It doesn't mean you don't feel it. It means you mine it for meaning that can help you. Okay? Because mining it for meaning, you could take a meaning that is a hindrance to you from it. Now, every painful moment has a lesson tucked inside. For me, last year, a lot of my painful moments taught me who certain people really were. It's like, oh, so this is who this person is, and maybe they're not your people. So for me, a lot of things taught me to really examine people's character before I give my trust. Examine the character of people objectively. Okay, they did that, they did that, they did that, and stop painting people with rose colored glasses just because you like them or love them, right? So that was how I reframed without romanticizing. I was like, yeah, I was hurt, but you know what? There were certain things that were already showing up that I simply refused to see until the big thing came, right? Every painful moment has a lesson tucked inside somewhere. Sometimes the lesson of courage, sometimes the lesson of resilience, sometimes some of these painful moments help you look at your life and see that you have a lot of support. So start to look for the growth and not just the loss. And you start to see yourself as a victor rather than the victim. And over time, you get to shift your dialogue from why me to what next. I always tell people asking the question, why me, is just a very ridiculous question because you'll never get the answer. And then even if you were to get the answer, then what? Right? It's not a question whose answers, good or bad, can actually help you. Now, number three. So, number one, separate the event from your identity. Number two, reframe the story. Number three, you want to reconnect with your values, your own values inside. Okay, and rebuild from there. Revisit what matters. Is it creativity? Is it service? Is it contribution? Is it rest, growth? Rebuild from there, because your values are your internal compass that helps you stand firm even when life happens. Reconnect with your values, reconnect with your spirituality, and learn to live in harmony with your values. Number four, practice compassionate language. We beat ourselves up so much, even when things aren't our fault. Why do we do that though? Right? But here's the thing: if you learn to practice speaking to yourself kindly, it will go a long way. Because the way you speak to yourself creates the emotional environment that you live in. So if you have harsh inner words, it's like you're tearing wounds open over and over again. Whereas you can speak to yourself in gentle, truthful language. Yes, this happened to me. Maybe I ignored some things that I should have looked at. But guess what? That's the old me. I know better now. Or there's this affirmation I like. I did the best I could with what I knew. And really, that's all anyone can ask of you, and that's all you can ask of yourself. Now, when you start to speak to yourself with compassionate language, your nervous system relaxes. You start to feel better even while you're going through the negative circumstance. Okay? Compassionate language is not indulgence. It's turning your inner critic into your inner coach. Number 5, very important. Support. Support, support, support. Get support. It is a lie that you have no support. I don't have anybody that's there for me. I'm the one that's always giving. Nobody supports me. If you keep feeding yourself that narrative, your mind will look for confirmation bias to support it. But guess what? Take a step back and look around and see that you really have support. This happened to me when, a bunch of things happened last summer, and, the narrative of you're just all by yourself, you're just alone, you don't have anybody, until I realized that in spite of what was gone, there were so many people who were just happy to support me and love on me and pour into me and give me. Y'all, last summer, folks gave me so much money. I was like, well, is this me? And I started to see that I do have support, therapy, community, coaching. They are not signs of weakness. They are tools for restoration. And if you're looking for a coach who has been through actual things, and not only been through things and had the experience, but trained as well, there will be some links in the show notes and you can contact me. But trying to heal in isolation is like trying to lift a boulder or a mountain by yourself. Maybe it's possible, but it's unnecessary and exhausting. You need support systems. Engage the support systems around you. So, let me go over these 5 tips again. Number 1, separate the event from your identity. Number 2, reframe the story. Number 3, reconnect with your values. Number 4, practice compassionate language. Number 5, engage support. And the truth is, your self-image is not a fixed thing. Okay? It's ever changing. It's an ever changing canvas. And every challenge adds new brushstrokes, some dark, some light, but you're still the one holding the brush. So whether your pain was self-inflicted or undeserved, you choose what story to tell next. You can look in the mirror and say, I am healing. I'm enough. I'm still me. So let me leave you with that. Like I said, if you want to contact me, there will be links in the show notes for you. And like I always say at the end of my episodes, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.